For more on the tough battles that lay ahead on Capitol Hill, let's bring in David Drucker. He is the senior editor of the online paper Roll Call. David, thanks for being with us.
Good to be here, John.
So the prospects for some kind of gun control legislation coming out of Washington this week, what do you think?
Well, I think we don't quite know yet. There's been movement over the past couple of months on background checks. That seems to be the most promising area where you could have bipartisan support. And what I really mean by that is enough Republicans in the House and Senate that you'd actually be able to get a bill to the president. Limiting the size of magazines for semi-automatic weapons and tougher gun control measures beyond that I don't think are going to happen. The prospects were never good. But you continue to hear about conservative Republicans, at least in the Senate, that are open to background checks. And I believe members of the House of Representatives in the Republican majority might be open to background checks depending on how this thing is structured. So it partially depends on what the Democrats want, what the Obama administration is willing to settle for, and how you can structure this legally and legislatively in a way that doesn't turn off Republicans.
Well, and how much is the president willing to, throw the authority of his office into this? I mean, we saw in his first term, he wanted Obamacare, he went to the mat for it, and he ultimately got it. How hard is he willing to work to get some kind of gun control legislation?
Well, I think he's willing to work pretty hard. I think he has worked pretty hard. The difference between this and Obamacare is he controlled both chambers of Congress during that fight. You had a Democratic majority in the House and the Senate. Here you have a Republican majority in the House that if it doesn't want to do something, it just won't do it. It's already shown that. And philosophically, Republicans are very committed to the Second Amendment and keeping the availability of guns for law-abiding citizens. This is how they put it. But I just would point out, philosophically, Republicans are very committed to the principles of the Second Amendment, which is why they're not going to simply change their mind on things, even if there's polling that shows that the public is in favor of certain elements of increased gun control regulation. Well,
and as we've said many times, it is Harry Reid who has a high rating from the National Rifle Association and is blocking some of what the president wants to do in the Senate, or at least saying that it wouldn't pass. What about immigration reform? What are the prospects?
I think they're good. I think it depends on the president's commitment to allowing Republicans to take the time they need to feel good about the legislation. I mean, look, first we have to see a bill come out of the Senate's Gang of Eight. There's also a separate bill being put together by the bipartisan House group, with the House's own version of it, in a sense, the Gang of Eight, and there are 8 lawmakers in that group. And then let's see what happens with the hearings and the committee markups. And I really think, John, I know the proponents of immigration reform feel like the time is ripe to strike. They feel like they've never had a better opportunity to get this done, and that includes some form of legalized status for illegal immigrants currently living in the United States. But I think if you're going to get a skeptical Republican and conservative base to sign on to this, you really do have to take it a little bit slow and deliberate. It doesn't mean delay, it doesn't mean obfuscate, but you really should do this deliberately, because at the first sign of a big surprise, at the sense that this thing isn't what the proponents are selling it as, you're going to see a Republican exodus. They're going to head for the exits, and you won't get anything done. And so far, I'd say the president's done a pretty decent job of not pushing too hard. I think it's important for Democrats in the House and Senate, particularly the Senate, where they control things, to not push too hard. And that goes to, I think, what we saw Senator Schumer saying in that clip a few seconds ago. Mm-hmm. He wasn't pushing too hard. He said, I think we're close, but we need to iron out some details. I think that kind of attitude is what's required of Democrats if they're going to get the Republican support they need to get this done.
And yeah, if they can get it done, and if both sides are willing to accept the credit and maybe some of the blame, it could happen, as you say. David Drucker from Roll Call. Thanks.
Thanks, John.